we are now down to your week 5 lesson, which talks about patterns of paragraph development. And for this topic or this discussion, we will have the next 3 patterns of paragraph development that you may apply or you may use in writing paragraphs. So we have classification, comparison and contrast, and cause and effect. So our objective is to differentiate these 3 patterns of paragraph development and to identify when to use these patterns of paragraph development in writing your compositions or your academic paper. So let's start with the first one. We have classification. So classification is a pattern of paragraph development that develops criteria for the items in a subcategory based on the relationship between the items. So classification paragraphs are utilized to group ideas into categories and subcategories to create distinction. This can also be related to exemplification and division. In your module, it was written as classification or exemplification, but these two are not the same. So they are different, but they are related to each other. So let's discuss these two terms here. We have division and exemplification to further understand what is classification or how to do classification in writing paragraphs. So what is the difference of division, classification, and exemplification? Division, this is dividing a general category of things into smaller subcategories. This is the actual process of writing down the subcategories of a general topic. Later on, I'll show you some examples on how to do this division process. Next is we have classification. It develops criteria for the items in a subcategory. So this is when you classify the details related to your topic accordingly to the subcategory where it belongs. And for exemplification, develops a general statement or the topic sentence with one or more examples to illustrate and help explain an abstract idea. So to simplify, division is a process wherein you are to divide your subcategories or you are to divide your general topic into subtopics. Classification is when you classify the details accordingly kung saang subcategory sila isasama. And exemplification is using examples to explain abstract ideas. So pwede rin siyang related to classification. So to further understand, let's have this concrete example. We have, let's say for instance, your topic is problems associated with living across a high school. So you just imagine your house is in front of a high school or a school. So what are the problems that you may encounter in living there? So for the division process, this is when you divide the problems. So I identified 3. So kunwari, ito yung mga problems na na-encounter mo. So meron kang noise, you have trash or garbages, and you have traffic congestion. So the way you add or you write your subcategories is called the division process. So, ayun na. You want to identify kung anong klaseng problem and ayaw mo namang i-discuss ng halo-halo lang. That is why you divided it into subcategories which are these 3. Ayan. And for the classification, ayan, you added the details for the subcategory 1 which is noise. So what are the types of noise that you may experience living across a high school? So, hindi lang naman isang noise yung meron tayo, hindi lang naman isang ingay. Maraming klase ng ingay. So, you have to classify them as noise or kung anong type of noise yon. We also have types of trashes. Anong klaseng basura? Ayan, anong klaseng mga kalat ba? Yung makikita mo if you are living across a high school. And for the exemplification, instead of classifying the types of traffic, wala namang types of traffic. So maglalagay na lang tayo ng exemplification or example of a scenario that shows traffic congestion. Yan. So let's try to have more of our example para mas maintindihan. For the types of noises, we have, you can classify it according to external or internal noise. So what are the external noise that you can hear or you may hear if your house is near a high school? So number one is we have noise created by the students. When we say external noise, these are physical noise, yung naririnig mo na may pinagmumulan sa labas. So outer source of noises. So number one is noises created by the students. External noise yon kasi nasa labas yung ingay galing sa mga estudyante. So whenever your teachers are or whenever the teachers are not around, students may start to create noise. May mga nagdadaldalan, ayan, may mga nag-iingay. What else? Noises during school events. So example, the school is conducting JS prom. Yan. Wala namang nag-JS prom ng tanghaling tapat, no? Sa school. So they are holding it every gabi siya ginagawa during night time. So if you are not into noises during night time, you may find it disturbing. So external noise din yun. We also have noises produced by vehicles or student services. Yan. So especially if it's dismissal time, yung mga busina ng sasakyan, ayan, pwede yun. External noise yon. We also have, from Sherlyn, we have during sports time or PE time. Yeah, that could be. Yan. And then what about the internal noise? So we have eavesdropping or unintentional witnessing of some incidents involving students. So for example, eavesdropping, your house is in front of a high school and then you heard a group of students talking about something. 'Di ba? Pag narinig mo 'yon, mababother ka lalo kung kilala mo yung pinag-uusapan. 'Di ba? So that could be an internal noise kasi when you will be bothered na, nasa loob mo na yan. So baka worried ka or you might think, kilala ko yung pinag-uusapan nila, sabihin ko kaya. Ganon. So whether intentional or not, when you eavesdrop, yan, whatever you have heard, so it can be disturbing or bothering sa part mo. Unintentional witnessing of some incidents. For example, you have seen students fighting. Yan, yung mga nagsasabunutan o kaya nagra-riot na students. So if you witnessed an incident na ganon, you might be thinking of, should I report them to the school? Should I report them to the guidance counselor? Yan, kailangan ko bang iparating sa mga magulang? So internal noise yung tawag doon. So it's a noise within, from you. Yan. So if you will list these types of noises nang wala pa itong external and internal, yan, pwede mo siyang i-categorize into external and internal noise para meron kang group or classification, mas madaling mag-explain. And then for the types of trashes naman, you can identify, you have paper, food wraps, you have bottles, and plastics. Yan. So pwede mong ilagay yan sa types of trashes. So this is how you classify. You group the details or the idea accordingly to where it belongs. Like yung paper, hindi mo naman siya pwedeng i-consider as noise. Hindi naman maingay yung papel, di ba? Yung noises produced by vehicles, hindi mo naman siya pwedeng i-classify as trash. Yan, di naman yan kalat. So ingay siya. Ayun. And then for exemplification, we have again, we are to use example 2 explain an idea. So wala namang types of traffic. Instead, we will use scenarios that will show traffic congestion. So number one is too much vehicles during rush hours. Commonly, if the school is across the road o kaya along the road and wala namang choice yung mga sasakyan to slow down during rush hours. Pero maingay talaga yon tsaka jam pack, especially during dismissal time ng students. What else? School services and student services are all parked outside the school vicinity that causes traffic to congest. Especially if, halos lahat ng students are being picked up by their parents using motorcycle. So what if magkakasalubong? Diba? So magiging, struggle is real for your parents to pick you up from school, especially during rush hours pa din. Yan. And sometimes there are schools na walang parking lot, lalo kung nasa kalsada yung labasan. Yan. And during dismissal, vehicles are carefully driving when passing by the school to ensure safety of the students who cross the roads. And that can also cause traffic congestion. Di ba may signage pa yan? Slow down, school zone. Yan. So automatically, if it's a highway, vehicles will slow down. They cannot drive faster kasi, yun nga, lalo kung palabas yung student. So it can cause traffic congestion. So here are the examples again of classification and exemplification. Ma'am, can we use both? Yeah, you can use both as long as the topic requires you to use it. For clarification, yung exemplification, you just have to use example kapag wala namang types. Yung kailangan mo siyang explain using examples or scenarios. Yan. And for classification, if you have listed all of the details randomly and you may find it hard to explain everything, you can classify them. Kung meron kang category na pwedeng ilagay, you classify them para mas madali mo siyang i-explain. Yun. Question so far for classification and exemplification. Ayan, parang wala naman. Okay, so let us proceed with the next one. We have the purposes of classification or categorizing data. So your purpose is to clearly define something and place it in a group according to some basis or rule. Again, you will be the one to identify the categories or the subcategories of your topic. If it's a general topic, depende sa title or sa topic na pag-uusapan kung paano mo siya gagawan ng subcategories. There must be a strong sense of purpose or goal before you classify items and to support the claim of your main topic or your main idea. So to check if you have understand the discussion for classification, let's have some examples ng title. And you are to identify whether we should use classification or not in writing paragraphs about this topic. So number one is advantage and disadvantages of cell phones in the society. Can we use classification paragraph to write essays about this topic? Yes or no? Can we? Advantage and disadvantages of cell phones in the society. Walang sumasagot. Christy, yes po. So can we use classification, yes or no? Yes. For this one, you can write down all the advantages and disadvantages of cell phones or the uses of cell phone in the society, pwede. And then you classify them accordingly kung advantage or disadvantage. For example, cell phone connects all people around the world, or cell phone connects the people around the globe. So it's an advantage, 'di ba? And while the disadvantage naman could be cell phones can destroy relationships. So that is a disadvantage. Tagal ko mag-type, antok pa ako. Ayan. So ganon. You can list down more advantage and disadvantages of cell phone kung marami kayong maisip. Ayan. Ano pang pwedeng advantage ng paggamit ng cellphone? It can help you learn, or it can help you generate ideas or information. Ayan. It can help you explore. Ayan. Your talent, pwede din. For the disadvantage naman, it can cause depression. It can be used as an instrument for bullying. Ayan. 'Di ba? So, pwede yun. You can write as much as you can. Basta meron kayong maisip. And then you classify them accordingly if it's advantage or disadvantage. The evolution of mobile phones. Can we use classification paragraph? Yes or no? The evolution of mobile phones. Yes. Yeah, we have different types of phone. Yeah, from the first model up to the latest one we have today. So from the keypad, yan, yung may antenna, and then you have the flip phone, you have the sliding phone, Vodafone. You also have the QWERTY keypad. Yan, QWERTY, and then QWERTY with touch screen. We have the hard touch phone, and then the full HD touch screen yung ginagamit ngayon. So you can classify those phones and to identify how mobile phones evolve from time to time. So pwede siyang gamitin. Next, cancer, a deadly disease. Can we use this, or can we use classification paragraph to write an essay about cancer? Yeah. What are the different types of cancers that we have? Meron tayong yung sa internal, meron tayong yung sa external cancers. We have brain cancer, we have lung cancer, we have breast cancer, yan, cervical cancer, prostate gland cancer, basta maraming cancer. Yan. What about medical practitioners, doctors? Can we classify doctors? Yeah. So we have internal medicine doctor, we have pediatrician, we have veterinarian for the animals, we have surgeons, we have ophthalmologists, yan. Meron tayong orthopedics, mga doctors din sila. So in general, they are called medical practitioners or medical doctors, but they have their own fields kasi. So we can classify them. Ayan. So, madali lang 'di ba yung sa classification. Your title will tell you if it's a topic that can be used to categorize data. Ayan. So, nakadepende siya sa title. For example, let's have this one. Anyone who wants to read? Sige, Brian.
Rock music. There are three different types of rock music: alternative rock, classic rock, and hard rock, also known as metal. Alternative rock features a steady bass drum laying down the beat with easy flowing guitar riffs over the top. The, the bass line is toned down and the lyrics are sung with intensity and authority. Depending on the song, the guitars can either be acoustic guitars or electric guitars. Classic rock combines a steady driving bass drum sound with high snare overtones, steady and often repeating guitar riffs, and an intensive bass line. The guitars are more often than not all electric guitars, and distortion is rarely used. The lyrics are sung with style and enthusiasm. Hard rock or metal features a hard rolling bass drum with an abundant amount of cymbal work. This style of rock uses several electric guitars with heavy distortion to bring a very intense sound. A hard, intense driving bass line rounds out the style. The lyrics aren't really sung so much as screamed. It doesn't matter what your preference is, each different style of rock music is unique on its own.
Ayan. Thank you for reading. It's bass ha, bass drum, bass line. Ayan. For this one, what are the different types of rock music identified? What are the classifications of rock music mentioned in the paragraph? Alternative, classic, and metal rock. So for classification paragraphs, you may introduce first your subcategories. Ayan. Bago mo siya i-discuss each category. Yan. So ganyan ang paggamit ng classification. Pwede rin naman, for example, if it's wide topic and you have three subcategories, like the example a while ago. So you can say there are three types of problems that you may encounter if you are living across a high school. First is noises, second are trashes, and the third one is traffic congestion. And then your first paragraph or second paragraph will talk about noise. Your third paragraph will talk about trashes, and your last paragraph will talk about traffic congestion. Tapos yung summary paragraph mo or conclusion paragraph mo, yung pinaka last, ganon. Pwede rin naman pag maliit lang or konting ano lang siya, hindi naman siya gaanong general na topic. Tulad nito, so you can have it in one paragraph. As long as you were able to identify the classification. Ayan. Question so far? Ayan, parang wala naman. Very good. Okay, next, let's have how to write classification paragraph. So you may use these signal words or keywords to introduce your categories or subcategories. Yan. So meron tayong is a kind of, can be divided into, yan. Or problems you may encounter living across a high school can be divided into three. Ganon. Blank is a type of, falls under, belongs to, blank is a part of, blank fits into, blank is grouped with, blank is related to, or blank is associated with. Yan. So you can use this. These are all stated in your module. So depending on how you will present your subcategories, it's up to you. Basta you use signal words or keywords to identify or to signify classification. Yan. Next, let's have compare and contrast. So this is one of the paragraph patterns or paragraph development patterns that is familiar to you because during high school, junior high school, yan, lagi kayong pinapasulat ng compare and contrast essays. So elaborates on the similarities and differences between two ideas. Comparison examines how the subjects are the same, and contrast examines how the subjects are different. So here we can use Venn diagram if you are comparing two subjects. So if you are having hard time to identify the similarities and differences, you can use the Venn diagram. Pag tatlo, ganun din. So, the portion where the two circles are joined together, so that's the similarities, and then the outer part are the differences. So for this one, let's have this example. Can I have Christy to read? Christy Jancel. Okay lang? Or anyone? Sige, si Sherlyn. Go.
Broad as their sounds are, there are several very distinct similarities and differences electric and acoustic guitars. For instance, both utilize or use of a body for the neck to attack to and a neck with breath covering their placement. The string attacks to the lower end of the body and go all the way to the head or the top of the neck. They both use strings that vary in width or size,
Yeah.
which are vital to produce sound when they are picked, hammered on, or strummed as a group. Similarly, each is tuned in the same manner to produce the proper tones desired. An acoustic guitar needs to amplifier to make it sound loud enough to be heard. An acoustic guitar uses the body of a guitar as its amplifier. Because the body is very thick and hollow, it is able to project its own natural sound loudly. This makes it very portable and capable of being played virtually anywhere. An acoustic guitar doesn't need any foot pedals, volume or tone knobs, or any other hardware like that to produce the sound it makes. An electric guitar is very hard to hear without amplifier. An electric guitar requires the use of an amplifier to transport the sound to peak that are secured in the body. These sounds are transferred through a guitar. The cable then goes the electric guitar can make it louder or change the sound of the string being played. Additionally, foot pedals can be added to produce even more different sounds so that the musical capabilities of the electric guitar are almost limitless. There's not a lot of music that I listen that doesn't have some sort of electric or acoustic guitar in the mix, either as the main instrument or as small as a fill-in for a certain sound. The genre of the music frequently dictates which type of guitar should be used.
Okay. So thank you for reading, Sherlyn. Masipag to pumasok. Ayan. So this is amplifier, this is gauge, genre. Ayan. So for this example, there are identified similarities and differences of what topics? Ano yung dalawang bagay na kino-compare dito? Ano yung dalawang bagay na kino-compare dito sa paragraph? We're talking about guitars. What type of guitar? We have the electric and acoustic guitars. So for the similarities, as you can see, the similarities are written in blue fonts. Yan, blue letters or fonts. While the differences are ito. So acoustic guitar are written in black and the characteristics of an electric guitar are written in green. So in writing similarities and differences, you have to start first with the similarities. Uunahin mo yun. Yun ang basis. Yun ang pattern ng writing. You start with the similarities and then afterwards, you discuss the differences. So if you are going to write a wide topic naman, you can write first paragraph, the similarities, the second paragraph, difference, third paragraph, difference, and then concluding paragraph yung huli. Ganon. Or pwede rin, pag konti yung topic or hindi naman siya gaanong malawak, you can write it this way. As long as you need to consider na mauuna lagi yung similarities. Okay? So, for example, for writing compare and contrast paragraph, so you can use this signal words to signify comparison and contrast. So we have like, in the same manner, equally, similarly, also, to, likewise, both, blank and blank, and in the same way or by the same token. So this is for comparison. This is when you are to discuss the things that the two topics are having or sharing both characteristics. So kung parehas sila, you compare. For contrasting ideas naman or details, you can use these signal words. In contrast, in the contrary, on the other hand, yeah, that's the common or familiar term na ginagamit when we talk about contrasting ideas. So on the other hand, instead, to differentiate, however, but, yet, nevertheless, though, otherwise, or on the other hand. Ayan. So may tanong sa sa comparison and contrast. Madali lang siyang i-identify because if you are just to talk about two things, yan, if your topic is about two things, basta magko-compare in contrast ka lang sa kanila. Hindi ka naman pwedeng magsulat ng classification because you are having two topics na, dalawang bagay na yung pinag-uusapan mo. Yan. The next we have cause and effect. Baka hindi magkasya yung oras natin. So this method of paragraph development is useful in explaining why something happens. So aside from comparison and contrast, ayan, this is also one of the most used paragraph patterns in writing in junior high school. Ayan, so the type of paragraph development technique requires unity in its paragraph. So the writer should know which factor is to be highlighted. Is it cause or effect? And to determine the reason for discussing cause or effect. Ito medyo nakakalito siya, pero you just have to focus para malinawan kung paano siya i-explain. If you are discussing cause, you need to start with the effect. And if you are discussing effect, you need to start it with the cause. Yan. So I'll show you example later on para mas maintindihan. So the purposes of using cause and effect patterns in paragraph development, we have number one is to discuss why a certain phenomena or phenomenon occurs. So if you are talking about events, yan, or phenomena, events or ano man tawag doon? Mga changes na nangyayari, you can talk about cause and effect. Pwede siyang gamitan ng cause and effect. To discuss the result of a phenomena, event, feeling, or action. So for example, typhoon. Yan, pwedeng cause and effect yun. Climate change, cause and effect. Globalization, cause and effect yun. To understand a situation, to solve a problem, to predict an outcome. So if something is happening right now and with the data you have at hand, you can predict something dahil doon sa data mo. So pwede siyang gamitin sa cause and effect. We have to entertain and to persuade. Yan. In all purposes of writing, you can use cause and effect. If you want to persuade, for example, speech, yan, tas gusto mong i-encourage yung listeners or audience mo to believe you, you can use cause and effect. So what are the reasons to for something to happen? Yan, para ma-convince mo yung mga makikinig sa'yo. Ayan. To further explain this, let's have this example. Ako na lang magbabasa para mabilis. Okay, so a paragraph emphasizing the cause normally starts with an effect. So the goal is to explore how such effect came to be. Again, if you want to discuss kung ano yung dahilan, unahin mo yung epekto. Yun siya. So an avalanche is a huge snow slide that rushes down the side of a mountain, carrying a large trees, rocks, and other debris in its path. Avalanches are similar to landslides, but can be more dangerous and destructive. Avalanches can occur when huge amounts of new snow fall on layers of snow and ice that have become unstable because of melting. They can also be triggered by explosions or earthquakes. So for this example, the effect is the event, yung nangyari. So the topic is avalanche. And if you want to highlight kung bakit nangyayari yung avalanche, ayan, yung cause mo ay nasa dulo. So ito yung nangyari. Ito yung dahilan kung bakit siya nangyari. Gets ba? Ulit, yung effect is yung nangyari, and then yung dahilan is nandito siya. Mas marami siya kaysa dun sa nangyari. So, bakit daw nangyayari ang avalanche? Yeah, yung bunga. Bakit daw nangyayari ang avalanche? Why avalanche occurs? It happens when, bakit daw nangyayari yung avalanche? Kapag daw may bagong yelo or snow. Sige, who's that? Sino yon? Nahiya siyang magsalita. Sige, explain mo na para magets din nila. Kasi nagets mo na eh. Nawala na siya. Ayan. So, bakit daw nangyari yung avalanche? That avalanche occurs when may bagong snow na nahulog or bumaba or pumatong doon sa natutunaw ng yelo. So, the foundation is not that strong or not that stable, kaya siya magla-landslide. So, yun yung dahilan kung bakit nagkakaroon ng avalanche. I'm not sure if you were able to see one. May mga videos naman from the internet that shows avalanches. Yung, lalo pag sila, nag-ice skating sila. And then, suddenly there is a snow rushing down. So, that is a snow slide. Yan. Ang nangyayari doon is, yung foundation niya sa ilalim is hindi na siya matibay, hindi na siya matigas. Ibig sabihin, natutunaw na yung yelo, kaya bumababa yung yelo. So, para mas magets, ulitin ko lang, if you want to discuss yung dahilan, unahin mong ilagay yung nangyari o yung bunga. Para mas magkaroon ka ng buwelo to discuss the cause. Yan. Similarly, if you want to discuss cause naman, effect pala. You need to write first the cause. Just like the volcano eruption, ma'am. At ganun din, so volcano eruption is the effect. Ano yung dahilan ng volcano eruption? Pwedeng, there is boiling magma sa ilalim. Ayun. O kaya may plate tectonics ba? I'm not sure. I hate science.
Ground tremor.
Ano? Nahihiya siyang magsalita pag napapansin. Ganon. So, basta, yung volcanic eruption, that's the effect of something happened inner dun sa loob ng volcan. So, pwedeng yun ang cause and then yung effect is volcanic eruption. Ganyan. So, a paragraph emphasizing the effect begins with a particular cause, then explains the consequences of effect of this cause. So, for this example, we have global climate change resulting from the accumulation of greenhouse gases, for example, is likely to have significant health effects, both direct and indirect. An average global temperature rise of 3 to 4 degrees Celsius predicted by the year 2100 by the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change will greatly increase the number of days in the United States with temperatures over 38 degrees Celsius or 100 degrees Fahrenheit, with a resulting sharp rise in heat-related mortality. Deaths can occur primarily from heat strokes, heart attacks, and cerebral strokes. The very young, poor, and elderly, as well as those with chronic cardiovascular and respiratory diseases, are most at risk. During the 2-week heat wave of July 1993 in the eastern United States, 84 people died in Philadelphia alone as a result of the higher temperature. From EH1, the Ultimate Preventive Medicine Technology Review. Okay, so for this one, ayan, yung naka-blue fonts is the cause. Why global climate change occurs. From the paragraph, ano daw po yung dahilan ng global climate change?
Accumulation of greenhouse gases.
Okay, accumulation of greenhouse gases. So this accumulation of greenhouse gases is the reason for having this global climate change, di ba? And for the effect, ayan, so this is a predictive effect. Ayan, predicted for the year 2100s. So hindi pa siya nangyayari, but because of the event happening right now, you can foresee what might happen after few years if global climate change continues. What are the mentioned effects after or by the year 2100s? Ano yung mga possible effects mentioned in the paragraph?
Strokes, heart attacks, and cerebral strokes. Tama po ba?
Ayan. So there will be more deaths because of heat strokes, heart attacks, and cerebral strokes because of the rise of global temperature. What else? We have, there will be, or there will, the number of days in the United States with temperatures over 38 degrees Celsius will increase. So mas marami daw yung araw na mainit. What else? Sharp rise of or in heat-related mortality, maraming mamamatay. Tapos maraming maaapektuhan. So very young people, poor people, or elderly. Ayan. So these are predictions of possible effect if global climate change continues. So this is how you write cause and effect paragraph focusing on the effect of something. Ulitin ko lang, if you want to discuss the cause, you start with the effect. And if you want to discuss the effect, you start with the cause. Para meron kang strong foundation of your discussion ng epekto. Ganon. Then what about the type of organization or yung pattern that you may use in writing cause and effect paragraph? So we have multiple causes with single effect. So this can be with the topics na you want to focus on maraming cause pero isa lang yung epekto. Example, dropping out of school. So there are more causes which result students to stop from schooling. Can you give me some of the reasons why student drops from school? Ano yung mga pwedeng dahilan kung bakit nagda-drop? Financial.
Misconduct po.
Misconduct. What else? Lack of
Bad
motivation.
influence.
Yan, bad influence.
Disobey the rules.
Ano? Bully. Pwede. Ano pa? Ilan na yon? So marami na tayong nabanggit. Financial, lack of motivation, bad influence, bullying. Ano pa ba yon?
Depression.
Emotional, unstable, what's the term? Instability of emotional state, pwede din yun. So you see, there are some topics which requires multiple causes with one effect lang, yung epekto lang. Tapos you can draw a lot more causes of that incident or phenomena or event. Yan, you can also write single cause with multiple effect naman. So addiction to social media. This single activity can have multiple effects in different aspects. So what can be those effects of addiction to social media? Ano yung mga epekto pag na-addict ka sa social media?
Pwede pong maapektuhan yung pag-aaral na nagkukos ng pagbagsak po ng grades.
Would be, so academic disruption, what else?
Hindi na
Bullying.
nakakakain.
Hindi na nakakakain. Ayan. Laziness. What else?
Lumalabo po yung mata.
Di natutulog. Pwedeng negative thinking, yan. Depression, addiction to social media can also lead to depression. So this is just a single cause with multiple effect. Yan. So maraming topics na ganon. And then lastly, we have causal chain or domino effect. So in every cause, there is an effect. Example, cyberbullying. One of the causes of cyberbullying, the cyberbully was once a victim of bullying. So the effect is that the cyberbully takes his or her revenge by bullying others. So that is one. What else? Cause, another cause, the bully has not experienced joy or happiness inside their home. So the effect is divert his or her attention to making fun of others so that he or she would have someone to feel the same way as he or she is. Ganon. So for the causal domino effect, kada cause mo, meron kang kapares na epekto. So this is how you use cause and effect. It can either be a single a multiple cause with single effect, a single cause with multiple effect, or causal domino or causal chain or domino effect. So depende sa topic na pinag-uusapan kung paano mo siya gagamitin. Yan. I think we will have to overtime a little, konti lang naman. So how to use cause and effect paragraph? So for use some of the signal words used in this type of paragraph to ensure coherence and unity. So for cause, ayan, we have for, because, since, due to, so, but, for the reason, as a result, consequently, otherwise, therefore, and thus. Actually, marami pa naman. Ayan. So to summarize all, when do you use these patterns of paragraph development? Simply, your topic and main idea suggests the paragraph development pattern you may use in writing your essay. So you need to identify first your title or your main idea or your topic before you decide on what pattern of paragraph development you are going to deploy or to use in your employ in your writing. So for classification, if your topic is wide enough and should be divided into subcategories for clearer explanation, so you have to use classification. For compare and contrast, your topic requires the identification of similarities and differences between two ideas or subjects. So basta pag dalawang topic ang pinag-uusapan, compare and contrast. And for cause and effect, your topic suggests explanation of how and why something happens and its outcome or result. So pag phenomena, ayan, isipin, pwede siyang cause and effect. Yan. I have here an exercise, but I'm not sure if we can still have it. Okay lang sa inyo mag-extend konti, gawin natin to. Oral, oral activity lang. Ayan. So identify the paragraph development pattern to use in the following topic. So your answer could be cause and effect, comparison and contrast, or classification. Tatlong C yun. Yan. So meron akong 10. Okay, standardized testing. Cause and effect, classification, or comparison and contrast. Ano to? Anong gagamitin?
Cause and effect
Standard.
po ba?
Ha?
Cause and effect po ba?
Yeah, cause and effect. Standardized testing is an event or phenomena. So this is when a city or a division uses one type of test lang. For example, in Pasig City, buong Pasig yun ang exam na iti-take ng bata. Like yung NCAI saka NAT exam. That is a type or example of a standardized testing. So why do they need to conduct standardized testing? So kung gusto nilang ma-check yung performance ng school, pwede yun. So cause and effect yan. Next, we have industrialization. Magsagot naman kayo sa chat, no? Para masaya. Industrialization. Classification, cause and effect, or comparison and contrast? Industrialization is a phenomena. This is an event. This is a program. Yeah, cause and effect. Cause and effect yan. Bakit nangyari yung industrialization? Yan. Next, we have video games. Cause and effect, classification, or comparison and contrast. So for video games, meron kang online and offline. Meron kang multiplayer or solo player. You have, sige, Brian, ano to? Video games, classification, cause and effect, or comparison and contrast? Your topic is video games. Ano to? But comparison and contrast, isang topic lang yan. Classification. So you classify, anong type of video game ba yan? Offline or online? Multiplayer or solo player lang ba? Ayan. Yung high, ano ba? High quality graphics ba yun? Yan. Ano bang mga types of video games? You have ML, you have LOL, played by computer ba or cell phone. So video games is a general topic. This is classification. Next, dancing styles.
Classification, ma'am.
Classification. You have hip-hop, you have dancehall, you have social dances. So classification yan. General topic yan. Next, we have, nakita na, growing a tree and raising a child. I have the word and. Growing a tree and raising a child.
Compare.
Compare and contrast. Yeah. K-pop and P-pop.
May end din. Comparison and contrast.
Comparison and contrast. Yung sa comparison and contrast, madali lang siya kasi pag may end, yan siya. Next, we have types of friends. I have the word already. Types of friends.
Classification.
Classification. You can identify the type of friend, yan, according to their attitude. Sino yung mabait, sino yung pungit.
Yung bad.
Sino yung BI, sino yung aasahan. Love and friendship.
Love and friendship.
Contrast.
Love and friendship.
Contrast and comparison. Kasi may
Ayan,
end.
comparison and contrast. Two topics yan. A teacher and a mother.
Comparison and
contrast.
And last, sibling rivalry.
Classification.
Cause and effect.
Cause and effect. Cause and effect yan. Cause and effect yun. Yung mag-aaway yung magkakapatid. Bakit nag-aaway yung... Ayan. So with the examples given, para maintindihan, bago tayo mag-end. Pag classification, if it's a general topic, for example, video games and dancing styles, so maraming type of dance, maraming type of video games. So classification yun. Pag maraming type, classification. Pag yung topic mo, you have the word and, ayan, dalawang topic yon, so that is comparison and contrast. And if it's a phenomena or event, yan, or a process or program or action, it's a cause and effect, paragraph dapat. Yung standardized testing, industrialization, sibling rivalry, ayan, mga yan, cause and effect. Sibling rivalry po is yung, nag-aaway yung mga magkakapatid sa bahay, ganyan. So, bakit sila nag-aaway? Yun yung tanong. Ganon. So, may tanong pa. I hope you were able to understand the lesson. If you have clarifications, you can join our 2:30 session mamaya ulit. Kung di pa ninyo na-gets ng todo, yan. Pwede kayong mag-join ulit mamaya para mas malinawan kayo. So if you don't have questions anymore, I will end the meeting now and you may now have your lunch break. Yung yung ano kanina, may I go out. Ayan. So thank you for attending my class and I hope you learned